How is a man with 10% of a brain able to function normally? What did 16th century Arctic explorers eat that made their skin fall off? Why did Columbus think the Earth had a nipple, like a breast? Learn the history behind these stories and well over 100 more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Check out my other book too, link in the description. If you guys don't remember, this is the guy that said that I have small like when he couldn't describe anything. I think he thinks the Earth is flat, and I kept trying to get him to tell me on what grounds does he believe that his personal theories are true. He said something about pie being in a box, and then he said, "Let's compare biceps," and he wanted to see my stomach.
Theory, proven body of knowledge. What does that mean? Proven body of knowledge.
Like, we have so much evidence to support them that they are considered proven to the best of the scientific method's ability.
What do you mean by that? Just like anything like globe Earth?
The Earth being a globe, I guess I would call that. I don't know if that's really a scientific theory. I guess it's baked into the heliocentric model, which is kind of a theory. I guess it's also baked into it's an inevitable consequence of gravity and general relativity. So, like, kind of, I wouldn't say that the shape of the Earth is its own independent theory, but it's baked into other theories.
Yeah, I think that the Earth could be flat. Be real. I think it could be.
Why?
To be 100 with you, because I've never been to space. I've never been to space, and I know that I was like, I don't know. You look very little into the moon landing, and then you got some people who are like, oh no, we got the documents right here.
Okay, hold on. It doesn't matter if we've been to the moon. That wouldn't prove what shape the Earth is.
Yeah, even then, so I'm not saying that the Earth isn't a globe. I'm just saying that just because I went to school and everyone else believes it, and that people tell me science and math proves it. Like, you know, you can show me any scientific like thing. You know what I mean? You say like, oh, the math is perfect. You know, it's math. I can make math perfect on any model if I want, if I was intricate enough. You know, and I think that, like, you know, like I said, it's math. And I don't know. I've just never been to space, and I see people that are like, oh, well, look at this video from this person. There's this curve, and then they're like, well, look at this video from this person. There isn't. Then people are like, oh, well, look at this one from space, and the people are like, oh, well, this one's definitely CGI.
Okay.
They're like, oh, look at these documents, and then you're like, well, look at these documents,
Yep.
and it's like,
Yep. So you don't have to take anybody's word for it. You can test this out yourself. Like, for example, you can look at the position of the North Star, and you'll find that when you do the calculation, you'd have to set the geographic North Pole as 0 instead of 90 degrees, because that's where you're looking or whatever. But the angle that the North Star will make in the sky will be the same as whatever your latitude is if you're in the northern hemisphere. On a flat Earth, that just is like literally impossible. I mean, on a flat Earth, you'd see the North Star literally no matter where you are. You know, they come up with these very dumb arguments about light bending and curving, and the atmosphere does weird things to say this is why people in the South Pole don't see the North Star. But it's so convoluted and stupid, and you can't confirm that idea at all. But you would know, like, you'd kind of have to draw it out to see the way it would work. But on a spherical Earth, when you look at something that's over the North Pole, yeah, the angle it would make would match your latitude. It would be 45 degrees above the horizon at 45 degrees latitude, and it is. It would be directly over your head at the North Pole. It is. Now, you and I can't go to the North Pole, but we could take the measurement from wherever you and I happen to live. Pretty sure you're a northern hemispherian. And you would find, yep, that's exactly what you would expect. And we could compare our answers with like really basic trigonometry. And then we could see that if we assume the Earth is flat, it's going to be so far off as to just be laughed away and dismissed. That's just one
Yeah,
example.
no, I see what you mean. But even that example, for instance, I could take that math. I could even learn the math. I could study celestial navigation. I'm gonna have to for my job, anyways. I'm gonna study celestial navigation, and in the next couple months here. And I feel like even once I know that, I feel like I'm just gonna think, wow, like the math adds up perfectly. Like everything adds like perfectly. I'm just a very skeptical individual because I look at the sun and the moon in the sky, and I know that other planets have their moons and it orbits, and you know it'd only be wise to assume that or make the inference that we got these big old circles in the sky. This one has shade on it from this angle, so it only makes sense that we're here. The math adds up. The sun can wrap around the Earth, and like I'm almost positive that like every single bit of the math is going to add up perfectly if you did it that way. But I'm still very very skeptical because like to me in my mind I'm just an incredibly skeptical person. Like there's a huge orb in the sky that burns when you look at it, and I don't know, I feel like no one's really questioning that. Like they are, but I feel like I don't know, I'm not the type to close doors on
What does
things.
that mean? There's an orb in the sky
Exactly.
well, what's there to question? Like we know so many things about the sun. We know what it's made of. We know its mass. We know how far away it is.
You know what I mean? Like if I told you, I was like, bro, this person was doing things with your girl, and you were like, nah, bro, no way, and I showed you a video, and it looks exactly like her. Like I mean, I wouldn't even blame you if you were a little skeptical of it because you didn't see it in person, or if you knew her well enough. So just because like everything all adds up doesn't necessarily mean to me like because I've never been to space, dog. You see what I'm saying? You've never been to space.
But you don't need to go to space to know things about Earth or the sun. Like
I don't know. I feel like people genuinely like laugh at like when I say this kind of stuff. But at the same time, though, to me and in my brain, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna laugh at you, for thinking and believing what you believe, for your reasonings behind what you believe. But I just think that inside of my mind, that that's just as plausible. And I'm not a flat earther, but it's just as plausible to me.
well, it shouldn't be. That's the funny part, because it's just so obvious that it's not flat just from being on Earth. I mean, there's no possible way a sun would set if the Earth were flat, for example.
Have you ever seen the Truman Show, dog?
Yeah.
Dude, that's all I'm gonna say, man. I'm gonna leave it at that. Skepticism isn't
That's
always a
not an
bad thing,
argument.
but it's an example.
No, that was a fictional movie.
You're right. It was a fictional movie. It was a very, very interesting one.
In terms of being a valid, useful social critique of anything,
What got what
not
got
really.
people to believe that the Earth was round originally was not being open-minded to there being something else other than flat Earth. No. So if you're not
I don't know what that
open-minded,
means.
you're just walking into a closed door. Is what I see.
I don't. I. But it's about the evidence.
All right. So let's say tomorrow.
You're being so
Let's
like
say, okay. Let's
you
say tomorrow.
Hold on.
Right.
Hold on. You say that, but you're not being open-minded about the evidence.
All right. May I offer you a theoretical?
I suppose.
All right. So let's say tomorrow. Some really higher up underground undercover people come out and explain the entire truth of the earth, and it's not flat or a globe, it's a concave earth, and they just all made up this incredible science, this huge lie. Or let's say that the entire thing was about you and a select group of 1,000 people. Like let's just say if this were to happen, like how would you feel?
If I found out tomorrow that the Earth was actually concave, how would I
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah.
Dumb, I guess.
All right. Okay. I think that's food for thought.
What is it?
That's
Therefore,
food for thought,
what?
brother. I don't know. I'm just trying to like tell you my philosophy of life.
But you didn't tell me.
You should be
anything.
more open-minded.
You just said, you just said, imagine a world in which you're wrong.
Okay.
I've done that. Now you understand. No,
Well,
I don't.
if you did, then you wouldn't be laughing at other people. You can't even comprehend, or you cannot, truthfully, as of right now, you cannot grasp the concept of my perspective, but I can grasp the concept of yours.
I don't know what your perspective is. I just like evidence. That's what I want to hear. If you think that something isn't true, I want to hear.
But the thing is, with your
reason and
evidence isn't good enough for me. Your evidence isn't good enough for me, but I'm not going to laugh at you because of that.
But, well, that's fine, but I've told you a couple of ways in which you could prove it to yourself.
Yeah, with math.
I mean,
But
kind
nothing,
of, but
like I said,
really
like
you
I
just need
said,
to
like I feel
look.
like you were laughing at that example I gave you a moment ago. If I showed you like a video of your girl with another man, you still weren't there. You'd still be skeptical.
Because it's so out of pocket, and it's not. I'm not asking you to look at a video that NASA made. I'm telling you how you
I'm
could
gonna
do
say
it
the math
yourself.
adds up. That's her back tattoo. There's me right there with her, and you'd be like, "Well, I don't know. I wasn't there."
Again, you're using an example that is like me telling you, we know the Earth is flat. Go look at the pictures. I get that flat earthers don't buy that. I'm telling you what you could do yourself with your feet on the ground to tell that Earth can't be flat.
I'm gonna do that, and well, I'm gonna have to do that. I'm actually gonna have to study celestial navigation pretty soon.